Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Friday, March 14th, 2025 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I breathe from my center and find acceptance in this moment. So as I am recording this, we're still several hours, about 6 hours out from the eclipse. So that energy has not happened. And even though the eclipse is happening late on the 13th, early on the 14th, these energies go on. You know, they say that like a full moon or a new moon, like its influence is a few days, a few weeks, even like 6 months. But I have found eclipses can really bring a longer term influence. Like they say like a year and a half, year and a half, but I've really seen even up to 2 years. So this is initiating a layer of sequences, right? In Virgo, in reality, in our minds, in our body, mind, spirit, soul, and heart. All of these layers are moving forth, evolving, changing, and especially because this eclipse is in connection with Saturn, which is encouraging us towards our personal and soul level responsibility, and that Uranus energy, which brings the evolution revolution. And we are for sure in the evolution revolution. I really feel like I brought forth most of what I needed to say about the eclipse in yesterday's scope, the scope for the 13th and 14th. So do check that out. I did figure out what my chicken scratching says though. So speaking of reality, it says that you're only going to receive from reality what you bring to it. And that's a really important reminder in these times in what you're seeing and connecting to. If you do not like what you're seeing and connecting to in your reality, this is an opportunity to bring a vastly different energy to it, and not in retaliation or reaction or even in resistance, but in an energy of love and faith. And that can make a really powerful difference in the world. And I think that's part of the energies of these eclipses together, is reminding us that when we bring forth like our truest selves, we can bring forth so much healing into the world. And so that's going to be important. Now, as of today, once we get past the eclipses, I'll tell you not to let your guard down because we move past the eclipses and into Uranus connections. We have the moon connecting to Uranus within like 10 minutes of the eclipse, and then we have the sun connecting to Uranus within just a few hours from the eclipse. Now, that Sun-Uranus energy, Sun in Pisces, Uranus in Taurus, is a majorly lazy cat. And I always say we have like full moon over after a full moon. So this might be like a twice as nice full moon over. So please take it very easy on yourself. But in your taking it easy, take time to get grounded. And know that, you know, while we may have moved through the initial intensity of the eclipse, I always feel like the eclipse corridor, which is what I call the time between the eclipses, always brings, I would say, more intensity. And it's added by a Mercury retrograde. So please take time in your full moon over, in the lazy catting, to ground in and be willing to be present with whatever is coming up. I'm actually going to start with my color cards, because the first card is sadness. And so we may have some feels moving through. But the universe reminds us that we can root in and have strength through that. Next card has showed up a few times, the frustration. Square peg, round hole. And again, that might be part of this Uranus and Taurus. I often feel like I don't belong here, right? Like I don't fit in this world. I don't know, you know, it can be hard. It might be my Chiron in Taurus, but it can be hard feeling like I belong in this world. And I think that's part of that feeling of that square peg, round hole. And yet, if we're here, we belong here. But just recognizing, you know, the frustration, chances are you are not alone in feeling that. And I think sometimes it's nice to know we're not alone in feeling like, do I actually belong here? Yes. Yes, we do. And the final card is the faith that Hello. Yes, we do belong here, right? And we are all connected. So keep that in mind today, that the feels may be moving through, they may be very varied. It's actually interesting because we do have the moon moving out of Virgo into Libra, which adds to the energies, the void moon space, and just feeling a little bit, whew. So keep coming back to your center, breathe in and through the moments. The last connection the moon's making before shifting is a connection with Neptune. So an opposition with Neptune and Pisces. Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces, which is part of the wackiness of all the unfolding, because 29 Pisces connects to all of time, place, space in the world. And so if you're feeling the wonk, chances are this is helping you work through layers and spirals of time. So if that makes you feel better, if that makes the Virgo in you feel better, that you're actually doing quite a bit of work at this time, even as you're lazy catting, there you go. So watch for that. But that energy can also be very ungrounding. That's the thing I feel most for Friday. It's very ungrounded, very unsteady, coming out of the eclipses and the Uranus connections and Mercury going retrograde. So taking that time to ground and find your center, I just want to emphasize that because it just keeps coming to me. The wonkiness, it feels like it's those platforms, that you walk out over water, but there are waves and those platforms are moving, or a platform in the breeze, the platforms are moving. Moon will shift into Libra at about noontime, and that's going to add even a little bit to the unsteadiness. Libra wants to find the center, but often Libra finds itself moving back and forth. I also think that we'll probably find ourselves weaving in and out if we are not tending to ourselves, if we try to tend to other people's needs without making sure that we ourselves are grounded and taken care of. So watch for that. If you are finding yourself, again, feeling the wonk in this, take the time to tend to yourself. And the first connection the moon, of course, is making is with Pluto, and it's a trine. But again, like I said, these feels are going to be moving through, and some of this we might be picking up on the airwaves. You might be feeling unsteady, not because you yourself are unsteady, but because you're feeling the unsteadiness in the world, and you're feeling off kilter from that. Mercury officially does not go retrograde until 11:46 p.m. Mercury is retrograding in the sign of Aries, and this is going retrograde at 9 degrees Aries, which is one off from where Venus went retrograde at 10 degrees Aries. And 9 degrees Aries is also where we are going to have our second eclipse in, 2 weeks-ish. So, how interesting is this? So the universe keeps drawing our attention to this. Mercury retrograde in Aries, just like Venus retrograde in Aries, is bringing our attention to ourselves, which is interesting that we're moving into it with the moon in the sign of Libra, which can bring our attention more to others. And so I would say, if your attention is being brought to others, what is it showing you about yourself? Now, Mercury will be retrograding back into Pisces, just like Venus will be, but not for a little bit, not till just about the end of the month. And this Mercury retrograde will be going until April 7th, just FYI. But for now, paying attention, bringing your attention back to yourself, and whatever ahas are wanting to come forth. I just did my patron group for this full moon eclipse, and one of the things that came through was this quote from the Gospel of Thomas, where Jesus says, if you bring forth that which is within you, it will save you. And if you don't bring forth that which is within you, it will kill you. And I think that there's many layers to that. I think the layers are about our gifts and talents that we're meant to bring forth, but it's also our feelings, emotions, and the suppression that we have to be aware of. And so just keep that in mind as we have this energy moving through Aries, that it really is about you and learning new layers of you. And I think overall, these two eclipses together are a healing journey for you and for me as individuals, right? let's take just a glance at this weekend. This weekend kind of, I mean, here's Mercury retrograde beginning. We're in Venus retrograde. We're going to be in the eclipse corridor. So it still kind of settles out. We are going to have some oppositions. The moon is going to be pulling on Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde on Saturday. And so, again, you may have some insight by looking at others. If you feel like pointing fingers at somebody else, see what it's reflecting for you, because this is where the lessons are, you know, always when it comes back and brings it back to us. We will have the moon and Mars in a square. We'll square off on Sunday. It's going to be early in the morning, but watch. You may feel some of that aggro, some of that frustration, and you may have some of those feels moving through that you have to feel and deal with. So be aware of that. Card-wise, clinging to the past, a feelings and emotion card. We also have the Miser. So there are some energies that we're kind of like holding on to. Eclipse season is a beautiful time to let go. This is a beautiful time for journaling. This is a beautiful time to check in with all of the layers of yourself. Here we have this Virgo energy, the body, mind, spirit, soul, and heart card, the participation energy. And what is it doing? It's wanting to help us be freed from these chains. This is part of the Uranus energy. The Uranus energy helping us evolve. There may be some breakdown. If you are in breakdown, remember that breakthrough comes. But chances are you have to do a little work, and some of that work might be letting go. The final card, it's funny because I kept saying this in the patron group. I was like, if I was pulling a card for this, I would definitely be pulling the Hermit card. And here it is. Taking time to be with yourself, to be in your own light, and to process is going to be so powerful at this time. Again, these eclipses together, I think, is major healing of the self. And so the more energy and attention that we can give to that, the better. So I'm going to leave that there for today. You can book a reading. You can also reach out for a mini reading if you just need a little support to get through these energies. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. And the better it gets, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power. And may your guiding light be strong. And know that you can trust the process. Namaste.